Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 7 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Pamela Davis, and you are listening to the Well Done Life podcast. Can you believe it, guys? This is episode 7. I'm so excited that we have this time together. So, if you're just joining the Well Done Life podcast family, this is a podcast set up where we share experiences, all in the hopes that everyone takes an opportunity to learn from each other. And each of us learns to grow and be better and share and build a community because no one's an expert at everything, but we all have something valuable to learn and to share. And I hope that you will join me on the journey of sharing. So tonight, episode 7, this is the midpoint. I said last week in my last podcast that every 7th episode moving forward, I was going to take a step back and go back over the previous 6 episodes, because I think it's important that as we're looking forward to going on this journey and living our best life, you have to take stock of where you come from, how you got started, and how you're progressing along the journey, so that you can make sure that the lessons are being learned and that this isn't just conversation in vain. So this is our time where we're going to get together and talk about all the things that we are learning on this journey and share. Hopefully, I'll motivate you to go back and check out a few episodes if you haven't already. The last episode that I did last week was Who Taught Us to Love Ourselves, Self-Love and the Humble Brags. So that's definitely a great one, I think. But like I said, this is all about looking back and before we go forward. So I definitely wanted to kind of start at the beginning. And it's funny, that actually is the name of the first episode that I recorded a few days, I want to say January the 1st. And I may be wrong. January the 31st. This one is called This Is Just the Beginning. And essentially, I was just getting started. This podcast, like I said in that episode, was 10 years in the making. I've always kind of had it in my spirit ever since I became a caregiver, and my life kind of really changed with that, to learn how to share myself. And I got started sharing myself through my blog, Two Chicks and One Old Lady. That's the story of my mom and my sister and I and our journeys and how we've progressed and just grown over these 10 years that we've been together. So it's definitely been quite an adventure. But I've decided that I don't want caregiving to be the summation of my life. I really want to focus on learning how just to keep living, because it totally changed my world to become a caregiver. But it didn't stop me from wanting to live. It actually motivated me more to want to go out and do things. So as I've gotten more comfortable with myself, as I've dealt with the things inside of me that I needed to fix, I've really learned how to embrace my life. So being able to take this step and just be transparent and honest and want to share my experiences with other people so that they can be better and how we can grow together, this is a big step for me, because I struggle. I'm a little self-awkward, a little self-conscious, a little awkward. And it's just a journey. So that first episode was really just me giving praise and thanks to God for experiences and clarity and therapy, and letting me kind of step forward on the path to say, you know what, I'm ready to kind of shake it up. And that shake up led me to my next episode, which was goal setting for a year with a decade mindset. I've learned over this past 10 years that I've been a caregiver that hindsight is definitely 2020. And it's so important, especially as we move into these later years of life, this not old years, but just a more mature, focused phase of life, that we really have to be very intentional with our time. If there's one thing that I am very self-conscious about, it is time, because you cannot get time back. And time is the most precious commodity that we have, because you can never get that moment back that you give it to someone. So you want to make sure that you spend time doing things and being with people who really feed into your soul and your experience. So that was the journey for me of actually saying, this year I want to wake up and look at life with a mindset of a decade. because by the end of this next decade, I'll be 56 years old, and I don't want to live, I have no intention of not living my best life by that time. I'm already on that journey, but I know that I cannot let anything deter me from that. And that no matter what comes up, as long as my mindset, my intention, my actions, and the people that I surround myself with are clear and focused, nothing will deter me. So we talked about the vision board parties that we were planning at that point, and just really kind of how you can start to be smart with your goals, not just at work, but in your personal life, because it is so important that you start to set yourself on the trajectory to live your best life right now. And like I mentioned a moment ago, that definitely started vision boards. And my friend and I had a vision board for a group of ladies. And it was just so nice to share and to connect. And it really inspired me because that was just a moment of such pure connection and intention. And we just don't get that all the time. And I just think it's really important. And so my third episode, I talked about the vision board party and talked about intentions. And unfortunately, that was right around the time that Kobe Bryant and his daughter and their family friends were killed in that tragic helicopter crash. So I talked about that as well because, again, it was just seeming like another opportunity that unfortunately the universe reminds you of how time is fleeting. So you really have to be very intentional. And it also made me think about the Mamba mindset, the Mamba mentality. And I'll put some information about it in the show notes, but you can definitely hear more about it in that episode and how we should really, again, use this as a wake-up call. He was so young, his daughter, their friends, how quickly, unfortunately, their life ended, but they lived intentionally in the time that they had. And how we have to apply that type of mindset of living intentionally and fully to us that are left behind, that are still graced and blessed to be able to get up every day and have breath in our bodies. There's never too late to live our best lives and to be very focused with our time. So that was episode number 3. By the time we got to episode 4, I really wanted to talk about I know you're toxic, but so am I, and the labeling of people with toxic behaviors. And I kind of alluded to that with the Kobe Bryant Vision Boards and Intentions episode in number 3. But I felt it was a much more impactful conversation to talk about Kobe and really look at how his life was just such a positive force. And so I wanted to save that toxic episode for another time. And in that toxic, I know you're toxic, but so am I just kind of think that it's pretty simple. There's so many people out here who love to label people as toxic. And, especially in the new year, everybody's got, oh my, new year, new me, no you. I'm cutting off all the toxic people in my life. But before you start cutting everybody off, have you taken an opportunity to sit by and look at yourself and think about, are you the toxic person in this situation? Because like it or not, we have all at some point in our life been toxic. I myself shared my experience of being toxic in that episode and how I got over it and how I work to stay non-toxic all the time because it takes work. Adulting isn't easy. Emotions aren't easy. Life is ever changing. And you just got to be able to check yourself sometime before you go out here and wreck yourself. And before you start going out here and looking at how you need to cut people in and out of your life. So I wanted to make sure I kind of addressed that because, like I mentioned, nobody is perfect in the Well Done Life podcast group. No one has it all together. We're all here because we each have had an experience, good or bad, that has shaped us into the people that we are. And we have something valuable that we can share that may help someone else not go through the same things that we went through or come up with better solutions. It's all about growth and acceptance at this podcast. So I just wanted to make sure that I shared that journey and kind of called ourselves out a little bit because sometimes you got to check yourself before, again, like I mentioned, you wreck yourself and before you look at trying to move into the next phase and blessing of your life. You got to make sure that you're ready for it and that you're clear. And that led me into my 5th episode, which was Who Taught Us to Hate Ourselves? Unfortunately, as I know we've all talked about numerous times, the Kobe Bryant passing really brought out a lot of, unfortunately, negative vitriol, especially after the interview with Gayle King and Lisa Leslie, and then Snoop Dogg's reaction and several other people. So I kind of wanted to talk about that because I feel like that episode wound up being more of a conversation about the communication tactics between Black men and Black women. So that may not be for my non-Black or brown community. And if that's not obviously something that you can relate to, please don't feel like you're being alienated. It's not, like I mentioned in the episode, we need our allies to understand the challenges that we face. But ultimately, there's certain things that happen within the Black and brown community that we have to address. And one of them is our respect or lack thereof respect for each other, and how we really need to fix that, because united we stand, divided we fall. No one wins when the family feuds. And it's just unfortunate that something so tragic just was used to spotlight a disconnect within our community that needs to be addressed. And don't get me wrong, I'm not siding with Gayle King. I'm not totally dissing Snoop Dogg. I'm just saying there's wrongs on both sides. Two wrongs don't make a right, but they're definitely exposed that there's more talking conversation that needs to be had. So if that's something that interests you, then I would suggest you check out the episode Who Taught Us to Hate Ourselves. And then, like I started, my last episode was Who Taught Us to Love Ourselves, Self-Love, and the Humble Brag. I wanted to flip it because, be honest, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about negative things. I want us to kind of think about it in a different perspective. Self-love is just so important. And being able to brag humbly about the accomplishments that you've had, the blessings that you've accomplished, and is so important because it's a motivation point for yourself and for other people. So my last episode, I spent some time talking about it and talking about my awkwardness, because yes, if you haven't figured it out, I'm a little bit nerdy, just a smidge, and a little shy. And I struggle sometimes with receiving praise and acknowledgement. And it's not because I don't value it or I'm trying to look for even more. It's just, it took me a long time to learn to love myself and to feel comfortable in the person that I was or that I am, even though other people might see something in me. Sometimes I didn't see it in myself. So that's just part of my struggles. And I think that sure I'm not the only person who feels that way. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you, journey with you too. So if that's pretty much it. I definitely think you have to go back and hopefully listen to all 6 of those episodes. And that leads you to right here where we are right now, the midpoint or the 7th episode. And every 7 episodes, like I said, I really want to spend some time recapping, because to go forward, we must go backwards. And 7 is just such a powerful number. It is a number that I was born under. I was born under actually the day of the 25th, February 25th, to be actual, is my birthday. And 7 has always been my favorite number. And I am a big proponent of numbers and signs and wonders. And I looked up 7, and it is a very spiritual number. It is associated with intuition, mysticism, inner wisdom, and a deep inward knowing. Encountering an angel number 7 over and over again means that positive things are flowing freely towards you at this time. So I feel like it's even more fitting. The universe is obviously designed it, God is destined, that every 7 episode is a point for us to have positive energy flowing toward us, to be able to recap, to be able to grow. And I just want to thank you for being with me at the 7th point so far, because I can tell you completely, honestly, and authentically, my heart is so open and so excited about what's to come. And I'm just so grateful to see people listening and hopefully sharing and gaining something from this content, because that's really what this is about. This is definitely something in my heart that I really feel compelled to share just from pureness. So I hope it offers you some value. And I look forward to continuing to grow on this journey with you. I wanted to also let you know that I am going on vacation. As I mentioned, February the 25th is my birthday. So I will be heading out of the country. I'm going to be having an adventure with two really close friends of mine in Dubai. So I'm really excited about that. And I definitely will hopefully maybe blog a little, vlog a little, pod a little, who knows? Because I definitely think that travel is a very important part of your journey. It's for me, it's been one of the most life changing, most confidence boosting things that I've ever done. And in upcoming episodes, I'll talk to you about it because I think people have this perception that you can't travel. Travel is not affordable. And I can tell you, I don't make a lot of money at my job. I make a decent amount of money, but I work very hard to get it. And I do believe in saving towards your goals. But like you, I have bills and I got a family to take care of. And I make that time to do it because it makes me happy. So I think everybody has to figure out those things that make you happy and go for them because life is again short. Time is fleeting, as we keep saying. So make sure you're doing the things that are going to propel you and motivate you. So ultimately, I said all that to say is yes, I may drop a pod from Dubai, but I definitely will stay consistent. So you will not have to worry about new content. And I look forward to all the comments and feedback and thoughts and shares. Please don't forget you can find us at Apple Music. You can find me on Stitcher. You can find me on Spotify. You can tweet me at I am Pamela L. Davis on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Pamela L. Davis. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Pamela Davis. Either way, you can connect with me or you can email me at thewelldonelife@gmail.com. So again, I thank you for being on the journey with me. I will talk to you in a week. And if you definitely want to see pictures and journeys of Dubai, check me out on IG because I probably will be posting pretty heavy when I travel at Pamela L. Davis again. So I talk to you soon. Thank you again for listening and have an epic week.